Welcome to episode 86. Today, we're going to be talking about chapter 3 of the book of Boba Fett, Streets of Mos Espa, or what some people call Mos Vespa, but we'll get to that in a second. Again, Happy New Year. If this is your first time tuning in, me and my son Trent break down the latest Star Wars stuff. Unfortunately, Trent couldn't be here today, but we're 13 days in, but it's still a Happy New Year. Hope everyone's doing well and safe, and we're just gonna really dive right into it. A lot of the interwebs have been very interesting the last 24 hours about this episode, and why don't we just kind of go right into our main topic and talk through the book of Boba Fett. All right, so we get the opening scene of Boba Fett, and this is a Boar monk. So if you don't know what a Boar monk is, I got a little Lego guy right here. Very simple design, but he is a monk that we see in Return of the Jedi, and this was in the trailer. In fact, this is how the trailer starts for Book of Boba Fett, is that we saw the Boar monk scuttle across the screen there, and it's just a sect of people that, for enlightenment, they take their brains and put them in robot spiders. Can't make this up. This is Star Wars. And this is the same thing that C-3PO runs away from in the early beginnings of Return of the Jedi when they enter Jabba's palace. So we get to see one live and in color on a TV series, which was awesome. But really, this is it. Again, we're continuing right where we left off from last episode, and it opens up with I guess you would call him 8D8, who is our torture droid from Jabba's palace, to Boba Fett and us what's going on, and that Bib Fortuna couldn't handle the weight of what, no pun intended, of what Jabba could do. So he split up the duties of Mos Espa and over a couple species. So we had the Troshendans, the Qualish. Now again, a Qualish are they come in a couple different forms, but really the most famous of Qualish is Ponda Baba, or Walrus Man. A Troshendan is a reptilian. We saw those in Mandalorian as well. The most famous Troshendan is Bosk from Empire Strikes Back. And I'm trying to think what the other... Is there another one? No. So there was those two in thirds, and it seems like the mayor, Mayor McCheese, is like more of a figurehead in Mos Espa. So 8D8 kind of explains all that, and then we get this, I would say, a watermonger, I think is the title. Water merchant comes and says, "Hey, I got these hooligans, and they're messing with my water supply, and they've stolen from me." And Boba, and saying, he's basically saying, "Hey, we have protection, now we don't have protection, and people don't think very highly of Boba Fett." So this is where they have to pay a visit, and so they take a nightly stroll into the streets of Mos Espa, and we essentially get this is where it gets all kinds of crazy. So, youth gang, if you will, and they have female human is, I believe, called Drash, and then Scad. So we have a couple street punks, if you will, messing with the water, and they said, "Hey, we don't have any work, and we don't have any credits, and so we have to steal to get what we need." And so Boba, the street merchant, just happens to be around and says, "Hey, they owe me, I think it was like 1,300 or 1,500 or something like that, 1,300 credits." And the street, Boba's like, "Here's 500 and call it a deal, and now you're gonna work for me." So you're like, oh, okay. So now we have the Cybernetic Punks street gang with these Vespa looking like scooter little things that a lot of people got hung up on the colors. I'm not really too hung up on the colors, but we'll get to that little spot next. But he essentially hires the street gang to work for him. So there you go. So he's employing the youth on Mos Espa. So then we get back to Jabba's palace. We get to see another wart, and again, that is like a frog-like creature that sits outside of Jabba's palace, and he he grabs somebody with his tongue, a little rat thing, and he burps. That's the bit in Return of the Jedi. We got to see a wart last week when they were combing the sands of Tatooine. Spaceballs, pun intended or not, but yes, they found a wart and they're able to get him. But now here's our third wart, and some creature grabs another creature, and then the wart grabs them and burps. So there you go. We got the burp gag going on, which is a nice little throwback to Return of the Jedi. So here we have our flashback. So anytime Jango is in the back attack, he is just dreaming about his past, and it's a convenient way to tell us a little bit of what's going on. So obviously in last episode we got how Boba became a true Tusken in a sense, that he's been accepted by the tribe and he's one of them, and he's got his gaffy stick and he's ready to go and be to the bantha. I love banthas. I just want banthas as a pet. They are so fun. And he goes on a long journey. So he takes off and he is going to pay a visit to the Pikes. So he gets to, I want to say he's going to Mos Eisley, and that's where we get a quick shot, little shout out here. We get to a little Mando tie-in here. So we see somebody put stormtrooper helmets on the Pikes, on these big spikes, and then we get our pit droids and Pelimoto. That is the one that's in Docking Bay 35, I believe, that helps Mando out a couple times in Mandalorian. So it was a nice little shout out, and we got to see her briefly as Boba is walking by Mos Eisley. So he goes to Mos Eisley. He talks to a couple Jawas. Apparently, this is the best thing about Star Wars is some people can hear and listen to, or not hear, but interpret what everyone's saying, and then some can't. So, Boba's fluent in Jawa, and he asks where the Pikes are. He goes visit the Pikes, and this gentleman, the Pikes are very fun, and he said, well, we can't have, I talked to my superiors, and we can't have protection on with two people. So he's talking about the swoop bike gang that we have seen present in the first two episodes, and now we have the Tuskens really protecting the Dune Sea. So Boba's like, hey man, I will take care of this and it won't be a problem. And he's like, great, sounds great. Looking forward to doing business with you. And that's how that went. So he goes back from Mos Eisley back to the Tusken Raider camp, and this is where we see the Speederbike gang destroyed the whole camp. Man, I thought this was a great scene. I really did. I thought we get, there's one more flashback we have again of Boba seeing Jango leave. You get the sense of he was all alone a lot with Jango doing his bounty hunting business and leaving Camino, and really the clones the Caminos were like his only like friends, if you will. And maybe the clones, I don't know if he had interaction with the clones. It's really hard to tell. That backstory is not really present, but you could definitely sense that when he became part of the Tusken Raider, clan, that he had he had a family. He was like adopted into them, and that's pretty cool. I'm cool with that. It was a cool thing, and so when you finally feel like you found somebody that understands you and you are part of this tribe, and then you come back and they're gone, and that's like a really hard thing. We see him do a proper burial, or really like a pyre for the Tuskens, and that was it. It was a very kind of emotional scene. I thought it was done really well, and then we get snapped right back, and then we got a fight, brothers. We got a fight. We got Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum is back. If you're not familiar with Black Chrysanthemum, he is featured in a Darth Vader comic run. He's got beef with. He does a couple of jobs with Boba. He's got a little beef with Obi-Wan. He's a great character in the comics, and they brought him back last week with the twins, with the two Hutt twins, and now we have Black Chrysanthemum just mopping the floor, literally, as he rips Boba out of his back of the tube, out of his sleep, and they're just wrestling. They're just having a good time. Well, not really Boba. Boba's not having a good time. And so Chrysanthemum is slamming. He's got some electrified blast knuckles. He's doing all the great stuff. He's choke slamming, bear hugging, and it's a pretty big fight. And he pretty much has the upper hand on Boba. Boba, again, you can tell that, he needs back to not only heal, but, needs a little help with the armor. Not to say Boba could not handle his own, but it is a Wookiee, and you kind of need a little bit more, armaments to take down the Wookiee. He finally gets hold of, like, a gaffy stick, and he's getting the upper hand. And then the Street Bike Gang comes in, and so they kind of hold their own on Chrysanthemum. Then the piggies come. Love me some piggies. Now we got Wookiees and piggies wrestling. We got some Gamorreans and Wookiees wrestling. And then we get a full-blown, like, double spear to Chrysanthemum does a double spear to the piggies. They fall down the stairs. Then we got Fennec finally waking up, and she takes care of business, and they drop him down the shaft of the trap door for the Rancor pit, and he falls down there. It's a great fight. Loved it. It was a great transition between dream sequence, we get the flashback, and then we get right into reality, and it's Chrysanthemum. Loved it. Oh my gosh, it was a great scene. Yeah, it was fun. So I gotta make a move. Now the Hutts are trying to get after me, and I'm trying to, he's basically trying to say, hey, I still have to state my claim. And Fennec's like, well, let them come to you. And he's like, they already did with Chrysanthemum. What am I going to do? So they're about to leave, and we got the Hutts coming. So the Hutts come, they open up the door, how you doing? And they want to pay tribute to him, I guess, as we're sorry that we sent Chrysanthemum, and now we have Chrysanthemum captured, he's in some binders, and we got a Rancor. So they give him like a baby Rancor, and it's fantastic. This is a nice cameo of one of Robert Rodriguez's closest friends, Danny, and so we get that little cameo, which is cool. And he's on his own. repulsor lift sled, which is nice, which you would think that the Hutts would be on a repulsor left sled, but that's a topic for a different day. So they give him this gift. They're saying, we're out because we can't trust the mayor, and we'll see you later. This is a dust bowl, whatever. You can have it. And then Boba's going to give Chrysanthemum back, and they're like, we don't want him. You can do whatever you want. Send him back to the gladiators or whatever. And Boba cuts him loose. He's like, see